The Art of Persuasion. Introduction. In today's world, success is rarely the result of talent or intelligence alone. If you look closely at the world's most successful leaders, entrepreneurs and influencers, you'll find a common thread running through their achievements: the ability to persuade others. Whether it's Steve Jobs rallying his team at Apple, Oprah Winfrey inspiring millions of viewers, or Elon Musk convincing investors to back his visions of the future, their power lies not just in their ideas, but in their capacity to move people to believe in and act on those ideas. Persuasion is the unseen force driving every successful negotiation, sale, or decision. It's the key to not just influencing others, but also to making people feel they are part of your vision, your team, or your mission. Yet, the art of persuasion is often misunderstood. Many people think it's a skill limited to salespeople or marketing gurus, but the truth is, persuasion touches every aspect of our lives. From convincing a colleague to back a project, to inspiring a team to meet a challenging deadline, to simply influencing friends to choose a restaurant for dinner, persuasion is a tool we all need in our everyday interactions. The ability to effectively persuade others can determine whether we succeed or fail in both personal and professional realms. At its core, persuasion is not about manipulation or deceit. It's about creating genuine influence and trust. It's about understanding human behavior deeply and using that knowledge to guide others toward a desired outcome, one that benefits both parties involved. It's this understanding of human dynamics and influence that forms the foundation of The Art of Persuasion, a guide by Kurt W. Mortensen that demystifies the art of persuasion and makes it accessible to everyone. In this audiobook, we provide a concise summary of the book, presenting 12 universal laws that act as a roadmap for anyone looking to master the art of influence. These laws are not merely abstract concepts. They are rooted in psychology and practical experience, drawn from decades of research into what genuinely drives human behavior. Mortensen demonstrates that anyone, regardless of profession or personality, can learn the skills of persuasion by understanding and applying these powerful principles. Whether you're running a business, managing a team, or seeking to improve your personal relationships, mastering these principles can revolutionize the way you communicate and connect with others. The art of persuasion is one of the most valuable skills you can develop, unlocking your potential to influence and inspire. By applying these 12 universal laws, you'll not only achieve your goals more efficiently, but also forge deeper, more meaningful connections with the people around you. Chapter 1. Why Persuasion Matters More Than Ever. In today's fast-paced, hyper-connected digital age, persuasion is no longer just an advantage. It's an essential skill for survival and success. Everywhere we turn, we're bombarded by an overwhelming flood of messages, advertisements, notifications, and distractions. Studies show that the average person is exposed to thousands of persuasive attempts every single day, whether they realize it or not. From social media ads to pop-up promotions, from news articles to celebrity endorsements, our minds are constantly under siege, filtering through a barrage of information vying for our attention. In this chaotic landscape, the ability to rise above the noise and communicate in a way that not only captures attention, but also influences action has become an indispensable tool. But here's the thing. Persuasion isn't about who can shout the loudest. It's not about slick sales tactics or gimmicky slogans. True persuasion, as Kurt W. Mortensen emphasizes in his book, The Art of Persuasion, is about understanding human behavior and psychology at a deeper level. It's about building trust, fostering relationships, and creating genuine influence. Our social interactions have changed as a result of the digital age. Communication is now more instantaneous, more accessible, and occasionally even more impersonal thanks to technology. And although this has presented both individuals and corporations with amazing opportunities, it has also brought out new difficulties. People are choosing to interact with things more carefully, skeptically, and selectively now that there is so much information vying for our attention. Persuasion becomes crucial at this point. In order to establish a genuine connection with someone in today's world, be it a friend, colleague, or even a potential client, you must rise above the doubt and clamor by providing not only value but also authenticity. In its purest form, persuasion is about influence rather than coercion. It's about knowing what drives people, their aspirations, motives, and anxieties, and utilizing that information to motivate and steer them toward choices that are advantageous to both sides. Being able to convince effectively can be the difference between success and failure in a world where attention spans are getting shorter and competition for engagement is increasing. For this reason, this skill is more crucial now than ever. Consider the world of business. The days of knowing you would succeed only by having a terrific product or service are long gone. These days, what matters is your ability to convince people of the worth of what you have to give. Not only do CEOs and entrepreneurs oversee operations, but they also engage in ongoing persuasion. This might take the form of persuading investors to support their vision, inspiring teams to reach difficult objectives, or persuading customers that their product will address a need. Being able to convince is crucial for leadership. It's not only a skill for marketers and salespeople. Instead of using power or coercion to influence others, leaders must inspire and build trust in order to foster an environment where people are compelled to follow and participate. And it goes beyond the workplace. Equally important in our daily life is persuasion. Every encounter we have, from parenting to relationship management, involves the concepts of persuasion. Consider how frequently we have to persuade people in our daily lives, whether it's convincing a friend to agree with our viewpoint, assisting our kids in making moral decisions, or working out a compromise with a spouse. These are occasions that call for empathy, understanding, and good communication, not manipulation. Finding a means to match another person's objectives and goals with your own through persuasion is a skill that can strengthen, improve cooperation, and enhance the quality of relationships. Consider parenting, for example. Any parent knows that getting a child to do something, whether it's brushing their teeth or finishing their homework, is not always an easy task. But persuasion isn't about authority or punishment. It's about guiding children to understand the importance of their actions in a way that resonates with them. It's about getting them to internalize the value of doing what's right, not because they're being forced to, but because they understand the benefits. This is where the power of persuasion becomes transformative. It's not just about convincing someone in the moment, it's about creating a mindset shift that lasts. Kurt Mortensen's The Art of Persuasion teaches that the art of persuasion goes far beyond the transactional nature of selling something. It's about cultivating influence in a way that is sustainable and genuine, whether in business, in relationships, or in personal growth. The principles Mortensen outlines, his 12 universal laws of persuasion, are not just tools for increasing your power or success. They are about creating deeper, more meaningful connections with others. And in today's world, where trust is harder to come by and attention is fleeting, these connections are more valuable than ever. What makes persuasion so essential in our modern world is its universality. It touches every aspect of life, from the boardroom to the dining room. Unlike some skills that are reserved for specific professions, persuasion is something everyone can learn and benefit from. Whether you're trying to negotiate a business deal, strengthen your relationships, or inspire your team, the ability to persuade effectively will always be your greatest asset. As we navigate this fast-paced digital world, where the stakes are higher and the competition for attention more intense, mastering the art of persuasion is not just a nice-to-have skill, it's a necessity. By embracing the principles outlined in Mortensen's book, you can become someone who not only rises above the noise, but also builds lasting, meaningful influence that endures. Persuasion is, after all, the key to unlocking success in every area of your life. Chapter 2. The 12 Universal Laws of Persuasion. Being skilled in persuasion can change the way you handle obstacles in life, whether you're trying to motivate others around you, manage a team, or close a business deal. However, persuasion isn't about deceit or manipulation. Rather, it's about realizing the basic rules that drive human behavior and applying them to your arguments. Kurt W. Mortensen's book, The Art of Persuasion condenses his years of study and expertise into 12 universal principles that explain the psychology of decision-making and show you how to influence others to take the actions you want them to. These guidelines provide a path to influence mastery, enabling anybody to harness the power of persuasion in a true and organic way, regardless of experience or background. As we explore these 12 laws, you will see how each one speaks to a fundamental aspect of human nature, providing you with the means to not only better understand others, but also to motivate action, foster trust, and more easily accomplish your objectives. Whether your goals are connection building, professional achievement, or becoming a more capable leader, these concepts will provide you the know-how and tactics to make the most of your influence. Law 1. The Law of Reciprocity. Give first to receive. Building meaningful relationships, both personally and professionally, is based on one of the most potent human interaction principles, the law of reciprocity. In other words, this law says that people will naturally feel obligated to repay you when you offer them something of value. It's an idea that's firmly embedded in human nature and can be used to foster benevolence and enduring influence. Fostering a sense of mutual benefit is what reciprocity is all about, not giving with the intention of receiving something back right now. When you provide value to someone, even just with time, money, or a small act of kindness, you instill a psychological debt in them. This is about embracing the innate human impulse to return kindness with compassion, not about manipulating others. This universal idea is applicable to all social structures and cultures. Consider how frequently the law of reciprocity comes up in daily life. You're much more inclined to support a coworker when they seek for assistance if you've helped them with a project. You almost instinctively want to give something back to someone who provides it to you, even if it's simply a sincere thank you. The same holds true for more significant exchanges, such as commercial discussions or client relationships. Customers frequently respond with loyalty, and more crucially with their continued business, to a company that goes above and beyond to deliver outstanding service or a free extra. Free samples are a well-known instance of the law of reciprocity being put into practice in marketing. You can probably find free food or drink samples if you stroll through any supermarket. Even though you may not have planned to buy that particular goods, you may feel compelled to buy it as a small token of gratitude after receiving something free. Instead of being a conscious duty, it's an emotional reaction motivated by the need to preserve societal harmony. Understanding the law of reciprocity might help you stand out in the workplace as someone who actually cares about other people. Even if it doesn't result in a sale right away, imagine a salesman who, rather than instantly pushing a product, provides insightful guidance based on the needs of the consumer. The salesperson gains loyalty and trust by putting themselves first, whether it is with insightful advice, no-cost consultations, or beneficial tools. Customers are more likely to come back to the person that gave them value up front when they are ready to make a purchase later on. Networking is yet another compelling illustration. When you approach relationships with an attitude of giving, you build a network of people who are ready to assist you in times of need, perhaps by introducing people, sharing information, or providing assistance. Because it creates sincere connections based on respect and support, this reciprocity strategy promotes long-term success. In interpersonal relationships, reciprocity also functions on a more subtle level. Sincere acts of kindness frequently result in a closer friendship and a deeper level of connection. These little acts of kindness, like lending emotional support or just taking the time to listen, may make a big difference. Relationships have a rhythm that builds trust and commitment over time when giving and receiving are in balance. The law of reciprocity can only be fully understood by giving without anticipating anything in return. You may establish a connection based on mutual respect and trust by first offering something of value. This idea can help you build relationships in your personal or professional life that will benefit you not just now but for years to come. By comprehending and putting the law of reciprocity into practice, you may ultimately cultivate an atmosphere in which people are drawn to collaborate with you, lend a hand, and show their support. all because you've already made the initial move to provide them with something of value. Law 2. The law of contrast. Position your offers to look more appealing through contrast. Based on the straightforward premise that individuals typically base their decisions on comparisons rather than absolute values, the law of contrast is one of the most powerful psychological weapons in persuasion. This theory is about presenting your idea or offer in a way that makes it seem substantially better than the competition. You can give them the perspective they need to understand the true worth of what you're delivering by presenting a contrast. Assume you're in the market for a new vehicle. The first vehicle you see is a luxurious high-end model that has every imaginable feature, but it costs a pretty penny. Next, you consider a second choice that, while perhaps lacking some ostentatious features, still fulfills all your requirements and comes at a far more reasonable price. The second car suddenly seems like a wonderful deal when compared to the previous one. The second car might not have been as noticeable on its own without that contrast, but when it is positioned next to the expensive luxury model, its worth is evident. In sales, marketing, and negotiating, this idea is frequently applied. For example, even when the buyer can't afford it, a salesman might offer a high-end luxury goods initially. They then released a more affordable but still excellently quality alternative. Even though it is still rather pricey, the second alternative seems like a great deal because of the sharp contrast. In the buyer's mind, the comparison produces a sensation of relaxation and happiness, making the choice appear simpler and more advantageous. Negotiations can also benefit from the law of contrast. You might take advantage of contrast in pay or contract negotiations by setting a high initial offer or expectation. After all, compared to the first comparison, your later proposal, which is a more reasonable figure, seems far more logical. Even though your second offer may have been your ultimate goal all along, the person on the opposite side of the table feels like they are receiving a better bargain. Contrast affects a great deal of our daily decisions, frequently without our awareness. In spite of the fact that both are objectively pricey for a cup of coffee, the $3 option seems more acceptable when compared to the $5 alternative. You are pushed toward the option that looks like a better deal by the comparison, which warps your sense of worth. This idea is about providing people with a frame of reference to enable them to more clearly assess their choices, not about cunning or deceit. People frequently feel overpowered by too many options or lack the knowledge necessary to make an informed choice. You may streamline the decision-making process and help others see the value of what you're delivering by employing contrast. Contrast can be equally effective in interpersonal interactions. Think of a scenario in which you are requesting a favor. If you start out by asking for something big or challenging, the other person can balk or deny. But they are significantly more likely to approve if you follow up with a more modest, reasonable request. Even while the second request might have been your primary objective from the start, it looks far more fair in compared to the first, larger request. In the end, the law of contrast is all about putting your offer in a position that makes it stand out. People are more likely to view your offer favorably if they have something to compare it to, be it a more expensive choice, a more difficult activity, or a less alluring one. This idea appeals to a basic feature of human decision-making, which is that we evaluate everything in terms of relative values. Additionally, you can influence people to make the decision you desire by carefully crafting the contrast. Law 3. The law of expectations. Set high expectations to shape perceptions. The law of expectations draws upon a basic fact about human nature, namely that people rise or fall to fulfill the expectations placed upon them. Establishing expectations can have a significant impact on how others view you, your product, or your message, whether in business, personal relationships, or leadership. When you have high standards, you convey confidence and establish an environment where others are more likely to live up to them. Picture yourself entering a posh restaurant. The personnel is immaculately attired, the decor is sophisticated, and the cuisine has been thoughtfully chosen. The whole experience sets the bar for greatness even before you take a mouthful. All around you suggests that excellent standards are the norm, so you're set up to think the cuisine will be particularly good. This idea holds true for all spheres of influence. Your presentation, atmosphere, and tone set the tone for what people will think will happen next. The law of expectations is very potent in leadership. Outstanding leaders are aware that performance is directly impacted by the expectations they set for their group. By having high standards for people around you, you show that you have faith in their talents. People are then inspired to work even harder because they believe they are being held to a higher standard. It's important to show individuals that you believe they are capable of accomplishing big things, rather than merely encouraging them to work harder. Research indicates that when team leaders convey their belief in their members' abilities, morale, creativity, and production all rise. When they sense support and belief, people are more inclined to meet and beyond expectations. Think about the tale of a teacher who demands a lot of their pupils. Studies have indicated that when educators have high expectations for their pupils, such pupils frequently rise to the occasion, regardless of the pupils' starting ability levels. The instructor fosters an atmosphere that increases the likelihood of success by showing confidence in their students' skills. Performance, however, usually suffers when low expectations are expressed, whether directly or indirectly. Individuals absorb the expectations that are put upon them, and these expectations frequently come to pass as self-fulfilling prophecies. The law of expectations has the potential to revolutionize sales and marketing. Establishing high standards from the outset when presenting your product or service influences how prospective buyers view it. Customers' opinions of a product are shaped even before they try it. For instance, if it is marketed as the best in its class or the most innovative solution on the market, the belief that they are working with something better filters their experience. Furthermore, as long as the quality matches pretty well, individuals are more likely to think they made the right decision and will therefore regard the goods as living up to their expectations. This idea is crucial to negotiations as well. You instantly set the tone for the discussion when you enter a negotiation with high expectations for the terms, price, or results. It is more probable that your rival will respect your stance and work within the parameters you have set down. On the other hand, if you come in with low expectations or appear unsure of yourself, the other side might think you're weak and try to negotiate better conditions. Strong and certain signals are conveyed by confidence and strong expectations, and these can result in better outcomes. Personal connections are likewise subject to the law of expectations. Think about how you can affect the way friends, family, or partners treat you by being explicit about your expectations. Open discussion about your expectations for honesty, respect, and communication lays the groundwork for happier, healthier relationships. When you set clear expectations and convey that you won't accept anything less, people are more inclined to live up to them. In the end, the law of expectations shows that the expectations you establish are very important in determining how other people see and react to you. Those who set high standards for themselves, whether in company or in personal life, typically see greater success because they inspire others to rise to the occasion. You may foster an atmosphere where excellence is expected and individuals are motivated to realize their greatest potential by comprehending and putting this law into practice. Law 4. The law of authority. People follow those they perceive as knowledgeable. Human nature is fundamentally reflected in the law of authority, which states that people are more inclined to follow, trust, and be persuaded by those they consider to be credible or informed. Expertise and authority have always been valued by society, even in ancient times. People naturally gravitate toward those that exude competence and command respect by their experience or knowledge, whether in business, school, politics, or even personal life. This law emphasizes the enormous power that results from being perceived as an authority person and how this impression affects choices and actions. Authority is important in any professional context. People are significantly more likely to listen to you, take your opinions seriously, and follow your example when you are seen as an authority in the field. Think of a physician, for instance. Patients seek the advice of their physician when they are uncertain about a diagnosis, not just because they believe the physician has the training and experience to make the best decisions for them. Just having authority around can reduce fear, promote cooperation, and establish confidence. When there is no authority, uncertainty arises, but confidence still rules. Consider a time when you've made a big financial choice, like buying a good or service. Expert judgment frequently influences the final decision. A seasoned financial advisor with a solid track record can influence a decision just by using their position of authority. A person with less experience could find it difficult to inspire the same amount of trust that their knowledge does. This is the reason why credentials, awards, and endorsements from the workplace are so important. They act as outward symbols of power, and those who wear them are inherently attractive. It's not necessary for authority to originate from official titles or positions, though. In actuality, one might develop authority in any field by consistently showcasing their expertise, self-assurance, and output. Consider the realm of internet influencers. Several people have amassed enormous fan bases, not because they occupy conventionally powerful roles, but rather because they have demonstrated that they are authorities in their field. Whether it's technology, fitness, or self-improvement, these celebrities have won the public over with dependable, consistent content that establishes them as authority in their domain. Because they respect the professional viewpoint, their audience pays attention to what they have to say about a product or service and frequently acts upon it. The law of authority has a big say in how commercial talks turn out. One party's position carries more weight and frequently results in more favorable terms when that party is seen as the authority on the matter. Picture yourself seated across from a skilled negotiator who is well versed in pricing tactics, market dynamics, and possible dangers. Their authority on the matter engenders a degree of regard and respect that may encourage the other party to more easily accept their conditions. This is only the result of dealing with someone whose skill is obvious. It isn't manipulation. Additionally, authority has a modest but significant impact on interpersonal interactions. Someone seeks guidance and advice from someone they trust frequently, and they are more likely to seek out and heed the advice of someone they regard as authoritative in a given field, be it life experience, emotional intelligence, or practical skills. Think of a relative who has consistently been the go-to person for guidance. Because of their collected manner, insightful remarks, and track record of sensible choices, they have established authority in the household. That person's viewpoint is given more weight when a crisis occurs or a choice needs to be made, since they have established themselves as a reliable source of advice. Understanding that using the law of authority involves more than just projecting knowledge. Rather, it involves constantly exhibiting it in a way that fosters confidence. Reliability, skill, and experience are the keys to earning authority. It goes beyond simply having the answers. It also involves providing solutions on a regular basis, exuding confidence in your knowledge, and being trusted by others as a credible source. This creates a strong reputation over time that encourages others to follow your example. You don't need to exert force or make an effort to persuade people of your viewpoint when you live up to the law of authority. Rather, your experience and skill speak for themselves, instilling confidence in others and inspiring them to follow your example. Being seen as an authority can open doors, foster trust, and motivate others to act on your advice in negotiations, business, or personal life. Gaining credibility and trust are extremely valuable in today's environment, and developing your authority is one of the most effective ways to influence others around you. Law 5. The law of consistency. People want to align their actions with their commitments. The law of consistency is based on one of the most fundamental theories of human behavior. People have a strong psychological need to act in ways consistent with their commitments once they are made. This strong want to stick to the choices and deeds of the past frequently influences our conduct in ways that we aren't even completely aware of. People feel forced to follow through on commitments they make, whether it be to a relationship, an idea, or a goal, as it would go against their self-image and give them internal anguish. Numerous facets of life demonstrate this idea. Consider a person who publicly declares their intention to reach a health objective. They have established an external expectation when they declare their intention to run a marathon or shed a certain amount of weight. Now, that individual is considerably more likely to follow their diet and exercise regimen, since they don't want to appear inconsistent to others or to themselves. in addition to wanting to reach their objective. Since consistency is linked to honesty and self-respect, the act of making the commitment forces them to keep it up. The law of consistency is the driving factor behind effective marketing and client retention initiatives in the corporate world. Take into account the sheer number of businesses that want tiny upfront commitments from prospective clients, such as subscribing to a newsletter, obtaining a free trial, or committing to a low-cost service. These modest, low-risk pledges aim to harness the power of consistency rather than merely getting people in the door. Because they desire to stick with their original choice, customers are far more likely to stick around and make larger purchases once they have decided to interact with the business. Political campaigns provide a prime illustration of this. When someone makes a little donation or puts up a yard sign in support of a politician, they increase the likelihood that they will vote for that candidate when it comes time to cast their ballot. There is a psychological stake in the result from the first act of public support. Rethinking their political position and enduring the discomfort of acting inconsistently would be necessary for them to change their minds. Campaigns can leverage the power of consistency to develop enduring support and loyalty by encouraging these tiny commitments early on. Another important factor in negotiations is the law of consistency. Individuals who initially consent to a deal's lower terms and conditions are more inclined to later accept higher terms. Gaining tiny agreements opens the way to bigger ones. This is commonly referred to as the foot-in-the-door strategy. For instance, in a business negotiation, one side is more likely to make more concessions if they concede on little points early on in the discussion. How come? Because they wish to maintain their current posture of cooperation and agreeability. The law of consistency can either make or break ties in interpersonal interactions. Whether it's creating a life together or encouraging one another's personal development, when two people commit to particular common ideals or objectives, those commitments influence their future conduct. Since breaking their word would put their deeds against their pledges, they will probably go above and above to keep those obligations. Nonetheless, stress frequently results from broken promises because of the perception of betrayal or mistrust that results from the inconsistent behavior. For this reason, preserving wholesome and trustworthy relationships depends so heavily on consistency in both words and deeds. Customer loyalty schemes provide yet another intriguing illustration of this law. Businesses go beyond simply providing incentives when they persuade clients to join a loyalty card or point system. They are capitalizing on the need for regularity. Customers who sign up for the program feel obligated to keep purchasing with that brand in order to get the most out of it. Due to their dedication to the program, customers are more likely to be loyal and make more purchases since they feel compelled to stick with their choice. People dislike feeling indecisive, which gives the law of consistency its power. Cognitive dissonance is a discomforting mental condition that arises when there is a discrepancy between an individual's actions and their commitments. In an effort to escape this pain, they frequently alter their conduct to conform to their obligations. This is why even seemingly unimportant, tiny promises can have a big influence on how people behave in the future. People who feel the need for consistency tend to make decisions that support their prior judgments, which makes them more dependable and susceptible to persuasion. Understanding how human psychology compels us to match our words and promises with our deeds is the essence of the law of consistency. By realizing this, you can inspire other people to take significant, tiny efforts that will eventually lead to larger decisions and more involvement. Encouraging promises, even modest ones, can generate a strong momentum that synchronizes behavior with intended results in business, negotiations, or interpersonal relationships. People who know how to use consistency, which is more than just a preference, can inspire enduring influence and commitment. Consistency is a deeply ingrained component of human nature. Law 6. The law of scarcity. Create urgency by highlighting rarity. The law of scarcity appeals to our innate fear of missing out on something which is present in all of us. Something instantly gains value and desirability when it is uncommon or thought to be limited. There is a strong sense of urgency created by the notion that time or resources are running out, which motivates people to act before the chance passes them by. This law affects not just physical scarcity, but also the impression of it, which has the power to elicit strong emotions and have an impact on judgment. Consider yourself perusing an e-commerce site, debating whether or not to purchase a specific item. A notice stating, "Only 3 left in stock," or "Offer ends tonight," appears out of nowhere. That little notification makes you think differently right away. Now that you're thinking about it more seriously, you feel pressured to take action because waiting can result in losing out. Although the object itself hasn't changed, your behavior is affected by the perceived scarcity and sense of urgency it creates. Here is how the law of scarcity operates. Businesses and marketers have long recognized the value of this idea. Consider time-limited deals, unique membership privileges, or limited edition merchandise. All of these are intended to incite a sense of urgency and rarity that will force individuals to take immediate action. Customers are far more likely to act, and frequently do so without the normal reluctance or indecision when they feel as though a product or opportunity is only available for a short time. Black Friday shopping is a well-known example, when a buying frenzy is sparked by the limited time and scarcity of goods. People rush to the stores, thinking they would lose out on big deals if they don't act quickly. Sales in the real estate industry are heavily influenced by scarcity. Even if they were first unsure, a prospective buyer is more likely to move swiftly and forcefully if they learn that many offers are being considered for a home they want. They are forced to make decisions quickly due to perceived competition and availability issues, which frequently results in bidding wars. Even though there have been no significant changes to the property, there is a feeling that the opportunity could disappear at any time, adding to its perceived value. This legislation is applicable in social and personal contexts as well. Consider a moment when you received an invitation to an event that appeared to be difficult to get or exclusive. The simple fact that certain people are unable to attend, whether it's an invitation-only event or a VIP party, adds to its allure. A layer of attractiveness is added by the exclusivity. Conversely, occasions that appear overly approachable or ordinary might not inspire the same enthusiasm or sense of urgency to go. An invitation that seems informal can become mandatory due to scarcity or the appearance of scarcity. In negotiations, the law of scarcity is also quite useful. You're significantly more likely to elicit action when you inform someone that a bargain or offer is only temporary or that it's the last of its kind. To seal transactions quickly, negotiators frequently use expressions like, "We only have a few units left," or "This is the last chance to get this price." They scare the other party into acting quickly by emphasizing how restricted the offer is, making them think that if they delay, they may miss out on the chance. In the domain of technology, scarcity is also quite important. To generate excitement and demand, businesses usually release products in limited batches or offer special early access. In the world of smartphones and game consoles, where pre-order campaigns frequently sell out in a matter of minutes, the scarcity effect is especially noticeable. Companies make products more exciting and elevate their perceived worth by managing supply and fabricating fake scarcity. This ensures that when the product is eventually released, demand will be extremely high. This idea applies to time and attention just as much as it does to goods and services. The most precious resource people have in the digital age is their attention, as there are a lot of distractions around. Whether a person is a well-known expert, a mentor, or a busy professional, their value rises when they are seen as having limited time or access. When people are aware that they have limited access to another person's time, they are more likely to pay close attention and respond promptly. It explains why in-demand specialists can command premium rates and why people eagerly enlist for consultations or appointments with difficult-to-reach people. There is an emotional reaction to scarcity. It appeals to our dread of being lost and makes us want to take action before it's too late. This is an instinctive, natural response that can be deliberately manipulated to affect choices and actions. However, it's crucial to understand that the law of scarcity functions best when it is sincere. If people feel duped, false scarcity, such as saying something is limited when it isn't, may backfire. The secret is to use scarcity in an ethical and successful way, making sure that the people you're attempting to influence understand the true nature of rarity or urgency. Essentially, scarcity serves as a reminder to consumers that an opportunity, commodity, or experience is valuable and won't last forever. Whether you're attempting to attract attention, close a sale, or sell a product, you can incite action and increase demand by emphasizing the limited nature of what you have to give. People make judgments more quickly out of a fear of missing out on something, thinking that if they don't take action now, they might not get the chance again. Law 7. The law of social proof. People look to others for guidance on what to do. One of the most fundamental characteristics of human nature, our propensity to seek to others for guidance on appropriate behavior, particularly in situations of uncertainty, is the foundation of the law of social proof. A product, idea, or conduct is signaled to us that it must be worthwhile, trustworthy, or correct when a great number of others support it. Social proof is an imperceptible influence that frequently works without our awareness to mold our decisions on a daily basis. It is essentially a mental shortcut that enables us to base our decisions on the decisions and deeds of others. Imagine yourself in the middle of a busy restaurant district, attempting to choose where to eat. You see a nearly empty restaurant adjacent to an overcrowded one with a line extending out the door. You are pulled to the busy one instinctively. Why? Because there must be something superior about this restaurant based on the throng outside. Ultimately, if so many people are prepared to wait, then the meal or event must be worthwhile. Social proof in action, this is. Simply seeing other people act in a particular way affects your decision-making process and increases the likelihood that you will do the same. Social proof is an effective business and marketing tool. Businesses know that consumers rely on the thoughts and actions of their peers, which is why recommendations, reviews, and testimonials work so well. Even if the reviewers are strangers to you, you are much more inclined to believe an online product that has hundreds of 5-star ratings when you see it. A significant amount of encouraging comments serves as a kind of social affirmation. It informs you that a large number of people have already evaluated the product, and their endorsement as a whole offers you confidence in your choice to buy. Take the current explosion of influencer marketing as one example. Brands collaborate with people who have substantial followings in order to take advantage of the social proof effect. Many people are convinced to try a product just because someone they respect or believe in has recommended it, as influencers' experiences with it are seen by their followers as endorsements. Sales and interest in the product might increase significantly, even if it is a relatively obscure brand, thanks to the social proof that comes from the influencer's endorsement. It matters not only what the product has to offer, but also who else is utilizing and endorsing it. Social proof can have an equally powerful effect in interpersonal encounters. Consider the evolution of trends within social groups. A new habit, interest, or fashion trend that starts with one member of the group tends to spread to others. This is about more than just following the crowd. It's about wanting confirmation that what we are doing is right or desired. Observing someone in our social circle, friends, co-workers, or even complete strangers, engaging in a particular conduct strengthens our conviction that this is the morally correct course of action. Social proof is extremely effective in group dynamics because people look to one another for advice on behavior, especially when they are unsure of something. The capacity of social evidence to sway behavior in ambiguous or novel circumstances is among its most persuasive features. For example, we turn to others for signs when we are not sure how to behave in a new setting. Imagine going to a formal gathering where you are not familiar with the customs of the society. You probably use other people's behavior, their words, their mannerisms, and their attire to model your own. Their behavior serves as a model for what is anticipated or deemed appropriate. This idea is important for charity contributions as well. People are more inclined to give themselves to a cause when they witness others giving. In order to entice more donations, fundraisers frequently publicize the names or amounts provided by previous contributors. The reasoning is straightforward. Since other people are promoting this cause, it must be worthwhile. Thus, I need to follow suit. People who experience social proof feel more a member of a community and that they belong even though they are alone. Social proof is a useful tool in business discussions as it establishes credibility. You will have an advantage if you can show that other people in your network or industry have already approved of your concepts, goods, or services. You can gain the trust of your counterpart by demonstrating that you are endorsed or supported by reputable people or groups. Referrals and testimonials serve as a type of social proof that denotes dependability and integrity, which is why they are so valuable. In the end, the law of social proof is about using other people's influence to direct actions and decisions. People naturally look to those around them for guidance when they are unsure about what to do. Understanding and applying this idea will help you influence people by projecting the endorsements, behaviors, or acceptance of a bigger group. Social proof has the ability to significantly influence people's perceptions and reactions to situations, whether in the context of marketing, social dynamics, or interpersonal relationships. It appeals to our natural tendency to accept other people's wisdom, feel confident in our decisions, and follow the herd. Law 8. The law of liking. We are more easily persuaded by those we like. The fundamental tenet of the law of liking is that we are significantly more likely to be convinced by someone we like. This idea permeates all facets of human interaction, including interpersonal and professional agreements. Sincere affection makes us more receptive to the opinions of others, more eager to listen to them, and more like to agree with them. Not only is this an attempt at politeness, but like also breeds trust, and trust is the foundation of influence. Consider the last time you bought something, whether it was because a salesperson, a friend, or an internet influencer recommended it to you. It's likely that the person presenting the product or service had more of an impact on your choice than merely the quality of the offering. You were probably more likely to buy if the salesperson was approachable, accessible, and took the time to learn about your needs. In a similar vein, recommendations from friends with personalities you like and trust were given more weight. This is the law of liking in action. The effect of someone increases tenfold when we have a personal connection with them. In the business world, likability might mean the difference between landing a big customer, closing a deal, or managing a team successfully. Dealing with someone with whom they have a personal connection is preferred by most people. This is the reason that a lot of accomplished leaders take the time to establish rapport, develop relationships, and demonstrate sincere interest in the individuals they work with. It takes more than simply being courteous to establish an emotional connection that opens the door to collaboration and trust. One is far more inclined to follow your example when they perceive that you genuinely care about their wants and interests. Think about how likability affects a job interview. Even if two candidates have identical qualifications, the one who strikes up a conversation with the interviewer about something personal, like mutual respect, shared hobbies, or a sense of humor, usually has the upper hand. The likable applicant fosters a sense of ease and trust that can transcend even objective qualifications, even though the interviewer may not even be aware of this. This also holds true for leadership. Even if both managers are equally skilled, a friendly, sympathetic, and approachable boss will naturally inspire greater loyalty and motivation in their staff than a remote, frigid one. Negotiation also involves a great deal of likability. The other party in the negotiation is more likely to search for win-win solutions if they love your company and sense a personal connection. This is demonstrating real warmth, empathy, and respect instead than being fake or unduly accommodating. These characteristics facilitate the discovery of common ground and foster a collaborative environment as opposed to a competitive one. Mutual liking increases the likelihood of cooperation and win-win solutions. The law of liking has practical applications in daily life that extend beyond business. Consider your social ties and friendships. People who make us feel good, who agree with our ideals, or who possess traits we find admirable inevitably draw us toward them. These are the individuals whose judgment we value, whose counsel we heed, and whose impact molds our choices. Likability contributes to smoother and more harmonious relationships, even in family dynamics. Genuine affection and respect serve as a foundation for stronger ties, smoother conflict resolution, and compromise. It was shown in a well-known persuasive study that likability extends beyond face-to-face interactions. People in an experiment were more inclined to comply with a request if the person making the request had previously commended them, even if the comment was brief. This proves that we automatically return kindness when we are made to feel welcome or valued. It demonstrates how strongly our need for acceptance and connection shapes our decisions and behaviors. Likability has also gained more traction because to social media, large followings are accumulated by influencers not just because of their excellent content, but also because people find them approachable, real, and genuine. Despite the one-sided nature of their interactions, their followers sense a personal connection. Because of this emotional connection, people find it easier to trust and be loyal to them, which strengthens their recommendations and endorsements. The law of liking is really about establishing connections, encouraging empathy, and relating to people on a human level. We are more receptive to listening, trusting, and being convinced when we like someone. Instead of manipulating others, the goal is to build sincere relationships that open doors to influence. The capacity to be likable is a powerful weapon that opens doors, promotes cooperation, and leaves a lasting impression in business, friendships, or leadership. Likability provides a more delicate, intimate, and powerfully persuasive method of persuasion in a society where authority and power seem to have the most influence. You may build relationships with people that help them follow and trust you, in addition to making them like you by being really kind, empathic, and interested in them. This idea has the power to completely change the way you lead, market, and engage with the people around you. It turns influence from being solely about strategy into an issue of human connection. Law 9. The law of association. Associate with positive ideas or respected figures. The strong human propensity to move feelings, beliefs, and perspectives from one item to another only by making a relationship is the foundation of the law of association. Positive qualities from something positive, appreciated, or admired permeate our ideas and products, and we benefit from them. People can swiftly and frequently subconsciously form judgments based on perceived associations thanks to this psychological shortcut. Consider some of the most recognizable brands in the world. They frequently stand in solidarity with individuals or ideals that appeal to their audience. For example, by collaborating with well-known celebrities or supporting esteemed occasions, luxury brands usually link themselves to money, position, and exclusivity. They engender a desirable atmosphere around their items by doing this. Customers start to see luxury brands through the same prisms the instant they identify with something glitzy. The relationship establishes a clear connection between the brand and the feelings that success and luxury arouse. Association is a concept that can impact both personal and professional influence. It is not limited to the domains of branding and advertising. The individuals you choose to surround yourself with at work can make a big difference in how other people see you. When you work with successful co-workers or establish connections with powerful mentors, their accomplishments and standing start to affect you. This is about realizing how important it is to surround yourself with people who share your values and drive and who can positively associate with you. Not about using people or being inauthentic. Think about the skillful application of the law of association in political campaigns. Politicians usually identify with well-known personalities, well-liked causes, or ideals like liberty and advancement. Even if the association is mostly symbolic, they arouse favorable feelings in voters by associating their agenda with these potent symbols. In one's private life, the same idea holds true. We frequently discover that when people are connected to respected individuals or organizations, we are more likely to be open and trusting of them. This is the reason recommendations from respectable people have such weight. By association, they give credibility. Within the entertainment industry, public perception is significantly shaped by the law of association. Consider an actor who frequently co-stars in popular movies with other well-known actors or who collaborates with renowned filmmakers. Their reputation is enhanced by being associated with outstanding initiatives and bright teammates. With time, the actor gains a reputation for excellence and is valued highly in the business. Expectations for their next initiatives are higher, not because of their own abilities per se, but rather because of the strong relationships they have cultivated over time. Association affects our perception of commonplace things as well. Consider sports beverages that elite athletes promote. The drink obtains credibility by being associated with a reputable athlete, even though it has no inherent connection to sports performance. Customers unconsciously assume that if this beverage is excellent enough for a professional athlete, it must also improve their own performance. The product's perceived value is increased by its link with sports excellence, which encourages more people to purchase it. In terms of personal development, the law of association can be an effective instrument for progress and advancement. Your own behavior and perspective can be improved by surrounding yourself with mentors, good influences, or groups of people who exhibit the traits you want to work on developing. Being around people who value efficiency and discipline will naturally encourage you to develop similar habits if you want to be more productive. However, unfavorable associations, like those with unmotivating friends or poisonous environments, can have the opposite impact, bringing you down and lowering your potential. We see the influence of association in our social circles as well. Whether we are aware of it or not, we frequently evaluate people based on the company they keep. We tend to think that someone has similar traits if they regularly associate with clever, courteous, and well-respected people. Because of this, networking is essential in both personal and professional contexts. The individuals you associate with can influence how others view you and open doors for you. Utilizing the emotional and psychological power of connection is the fundamental idea behind the law of association. You get more respect, credibility, or desirability in other people's eyes when you align yourself or your beliefs with something positive. It's easy to establish credibility, trust, and influence by associating yourself with admirable objects, figures, or ideals. Our relationships and commercial dealings with others all depend on the connections we form. These impressions ultimately determine our level of success. Law 10. The law of timing. Timing can make or break persuasion efforts. The success of practically any persuasive endeavor is determined by the law of timing, a subtle but potent force. It serves as a reminder that persuasion can backfire if the timing is off, regardless of how compelling the message, argument, or offer are. In this context, timing refers to more than just picking an appropriate time to deliver a concept. It also refers to gauging your audience's emotional, mental, and even cultural readiness to accept and act upon the idea. Consider bringing up a business concept to a coworker who is overburdened with work and under stress. They're just not in the appropriate state of mind, so even if the idea is great, your odds of convincing them to agree or express enthusiasm are low. Here, timing is everything. When you present the identical idea to someone who is more at ease, forthcoming, and mentally sharp, the results can be very different. Only the timing has changed, not the idea, and that timing change has the power to convert opposition into agreement. Proficient leaders, marketers, and negotiators possess an innate understanding of this notion. They are aware that timing may make all the difference in whether an idea or action is successful or unsuccessful. Imagine a salesperson who contacts a prospective customer at an inconvenient time, such as when the customer is experiencing financial hardship or unstable markets. The client may be reluctant to accept the offer, even if it is ideal, if the timing doesn't suit their demands. But make the same offer to the same client when the market is doing well or when they are in a strong financial situation, and it can be enthusiastically accepted. Timing is more than just delivery. It's about matching the offer to the recipient's situation and perspective. This is where the art of persuasion resides. In regular circumstances as well, the significance of timing becomes apparent. Think about requesting a raise at work. No matter how worthy you are, asking for a raise amid a company-wide budget cut or soon after a significant project failure is likely to be met with resistance. However, your chances of receiving the raise significantly rise if you wait until the company is doing well or after you've finished a good project. The timing places your request in a context that the decision-makers find appropriate and reasonable. Additionally important to marketing and sales is timing. To get the most impact, many businesses release their products during particular times of the year. Seasons like the holidays, back to school, and tax return season are when people tend to spend more money. When a product is introduced when consumers are most prepared, the message is more likely to be understood and inspire action. However, even if the product is great, debuting it at a slow period can backfire, since customers would be disinterested or less ready to part with their money. Because it matches a campaign's efficacy with the audience's willingness to act, timing is a crucial component of marketing strategy. In interpersonal interactions and communication, timing is equally important. Consider helping a friend out right away when they make a mistake. When they are angry or embarrassed, they could become reticent or walled off and refuse to listen. The same counsel, though, can be accepted with gratitude and respect if you wait until they've had some time to think about it and are receptive to criticism. Conversational timing, particularly when it comes to delicate topics, can make all the difference in the world. Timing can be a tactical advantage even in negotiations. Expert negotiators understand when to back down and when to press forward, since they know that for their ideas to be approved, a number of requirements must be met. Waiting for the proper moment, possibly following a mutual win or a shift in market conditions, may transform a challenging negotiation into a fruitful one. Pushing too hard, too soon, can result in rejection. Emotional intelligence is intimately related to the law of timing as well. It takes a keen understanding of a person's mental state and situation to discern when they are emotionally prepared to act on a recommendation or make a decision. Persuasion that works depends on this understanding. For instance, you might not get very far trying to motivate a workforce that is exhausted and overworked. On the other hand, encouraging them after a little break or after a minor success can re-energize and spur them on. If given at the incorrect moment, the same message is ineffectual. If given at the appropriate moment, it can be transformational. Timing is a crucial element of persuasion in all facets of life, including relationships and business. The right thought or message alone is insufficient. It also needs to be given at the appropriate time. A good opportunity can become a fantastic opportunity by recognizing when people are receptive to influence, when the environment is conducive to change, and when the emotional tone is supportive of your message. Timing shapes how and when your message will resonate most powerfully, so it's not just an external factor, it's an essential component of persuasion. Law 11. The law of contrast. The bigger the contrast, the more appealing an offer seems. The law of contrast is rooted in the way our minds perceive and evaluate choices. Humans are wired to make decisions by comparing options, and when presented with a stark contrast, our perceptions shift dramatically. The greater the difference between two alternatives, the more attractive one of them will seem. This principle is used effectively in marketing, negotiations, and everyday life, where creating a sharp contrast can make an offer or decision stand out and feel more appealing. Imagine walking into a high-end boutique where a luxury watch is priced at $10,000. It's an extravagant amount, and perhaps not something you would even consider purchasing. However, next to it, you see another watch priced at $1,500. Suddenly, the second watch seems far more reasonable. The first watch serves as a point of reference, making the $1,500 option appear affordable by comparison, even though it's still a significant investment. This is the power of contrast. When two things are juxtaposed, the differences in value, cost, or quality become more apparent, and people are naturally drawn to the option that seems like a better deal. Retailers and marketers use this tactic all the time. You might walk into a store and see a jacket on sale for $200, marked down from $500. The large price reduction creates a strong contrast, making you feel like you're getting an incredible bargain, even if $200 is still more than you initially planned to spend. The contrast between the original and sale price reshapes your perception of value, leading you to view the discounted item as more appealing than it might have been otherwise. In negotiations, contrast can be a powerful tool to guide decisions in your favor. A negotiator might start by presenting a high initial demand, knowing full well that it may be rejected. The purpose is not to secure that initial request, but to set a frame of reference. When they later present a more reasonable offer, it feels like a concession, and the contrast between the two makes the second proposal seem far more attractive, even though it may still be favorable to the person making the offer. By using contrast effectively, negotiators can shift the perception of value and guide others toward an outcome they desire. This principle isn't limited to money or products. It works with experiences and options as well. Think about dining at a restaurant where you are given two options for dessert: a simple slice of cake or an elaborate multi-layered pastry that costs twice as much. Even though you might not have originally intended to spend extra on dessert, the contrast between the simple and the decadent option makes the more expensive one seem like a worthwhile indulgence. It's not just about the price, it's about the experience, and the contrast between the two choices highlights the appeal of the more extravagant option. The law of contrast also plays out in our everyday interactions and decisions. Consider a situation where you're comparing job offers. One company offers a high salary but little flexibility and a poor work-life balance. Another offers a slightly lower salary but emphasizes a healthy balance, flexible hours, and a supportive culture. The stark contrast between the rigid, high-paying role and the more balanced, slightly lower-paying job makes the latter seem far more attractive, even though it might have been less appealing in isolation. The differences between the two options help clarify your priorities and make the decision easier. In personal relationships, contrast can shape our perceptions of people. If you've ever met someone who seems quiet and reserved in one context, but then meet another person who is lively and engaging, the difference between them is noticeable, and you may feel more drawn to the person with the dynamic personality. Similarly, when someone goes from being uncommunicative to suddenly showing warmth and openness, the contrast in behavior stands out, making their friendliness seem even more impactful. The power of contrast lies in its ability to frame decisions and highlight the differences between options. When something is placed in stark contrast to another choice, it shifts our perception and influences our decision-making process. The larger the gap, the more striking the effect, and people are naturally drawn toward the option that seems like the better deal or more rewarding experience. Whether you are selling a product, negotiating a contract, or simply choosing between two paths in life, leveraging the law of contrast can make all the difference in how appealing your offer or decision appears. By carefully crafting the comparisons, you guide others, or even yourself, toward the choice that feels not just acceptable but desirable. Law 12. The law of obligation. Leverage people's tendency to feel obliged after a favor is done. The law of obligation speaks to a deeply ingrained aspect of human psychology, the need to reciprocate when someone does us a favor. This principle, often referred to as the rule of reciprocity, taps into our natural desire to maintain social balance. When we receive something, whether it's help, a gift, or even a compliment, we instinctively feel compelled to give something in return. This law can be a powerful tool for persuasion because it creates a sense of indebtedness that people are eager to resolve, often by agreeing to requests or offers made by the person who first extended the favor. Imagine you are walking through a bustling marketplace and a vendor hands you a free sample of a product. You weren't planning on buying anything, but now that you've accepted the sample, you feel an internal nudge, a slight pressure to reciprocate the gesture. Maybe you linger a bit longer at the vendor's booth, considering the products, and before you know it, you've made a purchase. The free sample wasn't just about letting you try the product. It was about creating a subtle sense of obligation. This feeling, though small, is powerful enough to influence behavior, and it works in countless situations. Businesses frequently harness this principle to build customer loyalty and drive sales. For example, think of the companies that send out personalized discount codes or offer free trials. These offers are not just acts of goodwill. They are strategic moves designed to create a sense of obligation. Once a customer has received something for free, They are more likely to feel compelled to reciprocate by making a purchase or continuing to engage with the brand. The initial favor, whether it's a free service, an unexpected discount, or a small gift, lays the groundwork for future commitment. This is why many subscription services offer the first month free. Once you've experienced the service without paying, the sense of obligation to continue often kicks in, leading to paid subscriptions. In personal relationships, the law of obligation is just as influential. When a friend goes out of their way to help you during a difficult time, you naturally feel a sense of duty to return the favor. Whether it's lending them support when they need it or offering help without being asked, the need to balance the scales is strong. This principle operates on an almost subconscious level, where we don't want to feel like we owe someone for too long, so we seek opportunities to give back. This balance strengthens relationships as the cycle of giving and receiving fosters trust and mutual support. The law of obligation can also be a powerful tool in negotiations. When one party extends a concession or shows flexibility, it often compels the other party to reciprocate with a concession of their own. For example, in a business deal, if one side offers a discount or agrees to favorable terms, the other side may feel inclined to meet them halfway on a sticking point or agree to additional terms that weren't initially on the table. This reciprocity moves the negotiation forward because each side feels a subtle pressure to maintain balance and not take advantage of the other's goodwill. Even in social settings, this principle is at play. Consider a dinner party where the host goes above and beyond to ensure everyone has a great time. The guests, in turn, feel a sense of obligation to invite the host to future gatherings or return the favor in some way. It's not just about manners, it's about the unwritten social contract that compels us to even the score. The more significant the favor or gesture, the stronger the obligation to give back, and people often go out of their way to fulfill that obligation. One classic example of the law of obligation is found in charitable giving. When charities send potential donors small gifts, such as address labels or notepads, they are using this principle to increase donations. The recipient, having received something for free, feels a subtle obligation to respond in kind by making a donation. This tactic is highly effective because it plays on the universal human instinct to give back when we've been given something first, even when the initial gesture seems small or insignificant. The key to the law of obligation is that it creates a bond of reciprocity, an unspoken agreement that the recipient feels compelled to honor. Whether it's in business, personal relationships, or even casual interactions, people do not like to feel indebted for too long. The psychological discomfort of owing someone something motivates us to find ways to reciprocate, often by saying yes to requests or offers we might have otherwise considered more carefully. The beauty of this principle is that it doesn't require large gestures to be effective. Even small favors can create a powerful sense of obligation. By understanding this law, you can build stronger connections, inspire loyalty, and increase your influence simply by being generous with your time, resources, or goodwill. When you give first, you set in motion a cycle of reciprocity that can lead to positive outcomes, not just for you, but for the relationships and networks you are building. Chapter 3. Applying the laws to your life. Beyond being theoretical ideas, the principles of persuasion are useful instruments that we may use in everyday life to change how we communicate, exert influence, and succeed. Being able to apply these rules to business, personal relationships, and everyday encounters will significantly improve your capacity to inspire and influence people. Let us examine several real-life instances and commonplace situations that illustrate the operation of these laws. One common tactic in marketing to increase demand for items is the law of scarcity. Launches of Apple products are a well-known case study. Every time Apple releases a new iPhone, the corporation suggests that there will only be a small quantity of the handsets accessible during the initial wave of sales, creating a sense of scarcity. Consumers feel compelled to act quickly because of this and the limited availability of pre-orders. In order to get the product before it sells out, people feel that they have to move fast. As a result of their fear of missing out on something better than merely the newest technology, Consumers rush to get the phone, proving how effective the scarcity strategy can be. Each time Apple releases a new product, the law of scarcity guarantees a huge spike in demand since it plays on people's desire to own something unique or exclusive. Business executives can also wield significant influence and credibility by employing the law of authority. Think about the ways in which thought leaders or professionals in the field leverage their experience to win over their listeners. People take heed and act upon the counsel of a well-known business magnate such as Warren Buffett, who is regarded for his expertise in the field. Millions of people's financial decisions can be influenced by Buffett thanks to his years of knowledge and solid track record. Gaining the respect and attention of those around you and establishing yourself as an authority in your field through education, experience, or skill will make your recommendations and ideas much more compelling. Everyday situations can benefit equally from the use of persuasive laws, which are not limited to corporate tactics. For example, consider the law of liking. Assume that you are attempting to settle a dispute with a friend or work associate. Using the law of liking, you can utilize common ground and similar interests to your advantage rather than criticizing them directly. You may establish a rapport that promotes likability and trust by demonstrating empathy and understanding. Individuals that people like have a greater tendency to influence and be listened to by others. Thus, you make it more likely that disagreements will be resolved and that others will agree with you if you foster a positive relationship. In both personal and professional contexts, the law of consistency can fundamentally alter the game. Suppose that you are in charge of a group of people at work and you wish to make sure that everyone is happy and focused on the task at hand. You are applying the law of consistency by pushing people to make short-term public commitments, such as establishing little deadlines or announcing their objectives. Due to their desire to avoid coming out as untrustworthy, people are significantly more likely to keep their word and behave consistently after they commit. Recognizing their accomplishments and connecting them to their pledges will help to bolster this, giving them more incentive to stick to their schedule. Setting long-term objectives for personal growth might benefit from the law of commitment. By notifying friends or joining a group, for example, you can publicly commit to a fitness regimen or learn a new skill, which will encourage you to stick to your goals consistently. When you make a commitment, you are more accountable for your behavior because you feel compelled to honor your word. Throughout time, you can use this law to stay motivated, establish new habits, and reach personal goals. The principles of persuasion can have a profound effect even in routine day-to-day conversations. One such law that we frequently encounter without even considering is the law of reciprocity, and someone is more inclined to assist you if you return the favor. Giving creates a sense of obligation that is beneficial to relationships and increases the likelihood that someone would return the favor when you need it. Examples of this include offering to help a friend or colleague with a project or providing kind counsel. In addition to improving relationships between people, this idea promotes cooperation and goodwill in the workplace. Your personal and professional lives could be completely changed by carefully implementing each of these laws. They provide solid frameworks for constructing more robust and impactful relationships, not just strategies to be applied in isolated situations. You may sculpt your interactions in a way that is advantageous to all parties by being aware of how these laws operate and using them consistently. The principles of persuasion allow you the power to motivate, influence, and achieve in a variety of contexts, including business negotiations, team leadership, and interpersonal relationships. Chapter 4. The Ethical Side of Persuasion. Persuasion is an effective strategy that can mold choices, affect results, and strengthen bonds with others. Like any instrument, though, it can be used for manipulative or ethical ends. The real art of persuasion is in applying influence with morality, aiming to build enduring, beneficial relationships that are advantageous to all sides, rather than just winning a debate or closing a business. While persuasion can be a powerful tool for motivating people and resolving issues, it can also be abused and cause distrust, animosity, and strained interpersonal bonds. The goal of persuasion determines its ethical aspects. The power of persuasion turns into a destructive force when the intention is manipulation, getting someone to act against their best interests in order to benefit oneself. Although this type of coercive influence may result in short-term successes, it erodes the foundation of respect and trust that is required for long-term success. Conversely, ethical persuasion emphasizes win-win situations. It involves being aware of other people's wants and desires, and then lining up your objectives to mutually benefit both of you. Instead of being forceful, ethical persuasion is cooperative. By ensuring that decisions made through influence put everyone in a better position, it aims to elevate both sides. Chapter 4. The ethical side of persuasion. Persuasion is an effective strategy that can mold choices, affect results, and strengthen bonds with others. Like any instrument, though, it can be used for manipulative or ethical ends. The real art of persuasion is in applying influence with morality, aiming to build enduring, beneficial relationships that are advantageous to all sides, rather than just winning a debate or closing a business. While persuasion can be a powerful tool for motivating people and resolving issues, it can also be abused and cause distrust, animosity, and strained interpersonal bonds. The goal of persuasion determines its ethical aspects. The power of persuasion turns into a destructive force when the intention is manipulation, getting someone to act against their best interests in order to benefit oneself. Although this type of coercive influence may result in short-term successes, it erodes the foundation of respect and trust that is required for long-term success. Conversely, ethical persuasion emphasizes win-win situations. It involves being aware of other people's wants and desires, and then lining up your objectives to mutually benefit both of you. Instead of being forceful, ethical persuasion is cooperative. By ensuring that decisions made through influence put everyone in a better position, it aims to elevate both sides. Because it is founded on openness and respect, this persuasion strategy promotes stronger bonds between people. Honesty is the foundation of ethical persuasion. The influencer gives the other party all the facts they need to make an informed decision. The intention is to lead someone toward a decision that is advantageous to both of them, not to trick or manipulate them. This kind of persuasion lasts because it gradually establishes trust. People are more inclined to interact with you in the future, and your influence grows stronger when they trust that you will always act honorably. Any healthy relationship is built on trust, which is fostered by ethical persuasion, which always prioritizes the interests of the other party. People are more receptive to your ideas, more inclined to listen to you when you exercise persuasion with integrity, and ultimately, they are more likely to trust you. Although manipulative strategies can be successful in the short run, they frequently result in strained relationships, animosity, and missed opportunities. On the other hand, ethical persuasion fosters true loyalty and respect, which results in long-term success. Individuals value fairness and honesty in treatment, and they are more likely to follow someone who exhibits these traits on a regular basis. Beyond only one-on-one conversations, ethical persuasion has several long-term advantages. In the corporate world, it results in more enduring alliances, heightened client loyalty, and a trustworthy reputation that draws in new business. People want to work with you and refer you to others when you conduct yourself with honesty on a regular basis. Because it is based on respect for one another and mutual gain, this form of influence, which is based on ethical ideals, spreads rapidly. Ethical persuasion develops mutual understanding and open communication in interpersonal interactions. Building strong, trust-based relationships is a result of persuasiveness with integrity. People respect and feel appreciated when they realize that your influence is about creating solutions that benefit everyone, not just yourself. In both your personal and professional life, this results in stronger bonds, more fulfilling relationships, and a higher sense of fulfillment. In addition to being morally correct, using ethical persuasion is also wise. It does this by establishing a network based on mutual respect, trust, and benefit. The duration of your success is determined by the integrity of your influence, both in personal and professional connections. By concentrating on ethical persuasion, you create a legacy of positive influence that makes people happier and more likely to believe in and follow you in the future. In the end, ethical persuasion is essential for accomplishing your objectives in a way that forges enduring bonds and cultivates a solid, favorable reputation. Conclusion. In the journey to mastering the art of persuasion, the most important step is to take action. The 12 laws we've explored are not abstract concepts meant to remain in theory. They are powerful tools that can be implemented in your daily life, both at work and at home. Whether you're negotiating a business deal, managing a team, or simply trying to strengthen your relationships, these principles are there to help you communicate more effectively, build trust, and create lasting influence. The next time you're in a situation where you want to persuade someone, whether it's convincing a colleague to support your idea or helping a friend see things from your perspective, try applying one of these laws. Start small, notice the reactions, and refine your approach as you go. Persuasion is not an innate talent reserved for the few. It's a skill that anyone can learn and master with dedication and practice. The power to influence others, shape decisions, and create positive outcomes is within reach for those willing to invest the time and effort. Each of these laws offers a clear path forward, guiding you to understand human behavior more deeply and apply that understanding to your advantage. As you practice these principles with intention and integrity, you'll find that your ability to persuade not only grows, but also becomes second nature. The journey to becoming a master of persuasion is one of continuous growth, but the rewards are immeasurable. By embracing these 12 laws, you are setting yourself on a course to become a powerful influencer, someone who can navigate complex situations, inspire others, and achieve your goals with greater ease. The key is to begin today. Apply these insights, observe the results, and watch as your influence grows, both in your personal life and professional endeavors.